scenario is also not very clear. It's really hazy. Many organizations are claiming that they have created some form of vaccine and there are different degrees of trials happening, though the final result is not yet out. And from the lab testing to the market as an affordable product, that's a long journey. So when will it come? After 6 months or after 1 year? That is also not so much clear. And finally, even if the vaccine comes, right, by that time, if the virus mutates, the new strain may not be controlled by the vaccine. So that's a point to be worried about. And there are many such issues. So we have already seen the dark sides. Apart from the direct impact, like the impact by the disease, impact by casualties, and impact by morbidity. In addition to these direct impacts, the whole society, the whole world is suffering from its indirect bad impact. So one example is, let's say, the education sector. We know that most of the schools, colleges, and university classes are going online. But the question is it fair to everyone in the society? Are all the students getting equal opportunity to join this online platform? We don't have network coverage to extend to all the students staying in remote villages or remote areas. So that's a point of concern, that's a point of debate, and continuously discussions are going on in different forums, both at the students level, at the faculty levels, and at the administrative level, administration level, government level, how to make it more smooth, how to include more people. So that's a big challenge. Second problem, as we have seen, is the economic problem. So many people are daily wagers, daily earners. They are in trouble, and many monthly salaried people have also lost their job. So how to run their family? It's a big issue. Then the third point is psychological issues. Many people have lost hope. Why to live? What to look for? Is there any good future? Is there any goal? And this thought cycle has led many people into depression, into anxiety, into suicide attempts, and so on and so forth. I mean, I personally know that many people whom I knew that they are healthy, both physically and mentally, they are going through psychological counseling now to survive. And we have also seen that many people have used this pandemic as a business opportunity, right? So, for example, masks worth 50 rupees have been sold at the cost of 500 rupees, almost 10 times. And many private hospitals are charging an enormous amount of fee to the patients without any rhyme or reason. So this is happening. These are all indirect impacts of the pandemic that's affecting the entire society. So the question is that all? The direct impact of the disease and these indirect side effects of the disease, is that all that is there? If we think deeply enough, the answer is obviously no, right? Like everything in life, Corona also has some positive messages to give us and also some negative news that we are already having. Right? And there is an opportunity to learn many life lessons from Corona, like every other aspect of life. So the first lesson that I'm going to talk about is going against Mother Nature creates problem. That's the first lesson. I'm repeating, going against Mother Nature creates problem. So the question is, how have we gone against Mother Nature, right? The first obvious thing is our living, our livelihood, right? We have destroyed the villages, we have destroyed the forests and trees to create cities of concrete, right? And that has made a huge environmental impact. Air pollution, greenhouse effect, and global warming, carbon footprint, All these are now common day-to-day jargons, right? Next is, and we have seen that during lockdown, this Earth atmosphere had regained its lost glory, and the hole in the ozone layer had also healed to some extent. So that tells us how much damage we had created, right? Even we have seen in the news that many rivers, many water bodies, they have been free from pollution because there are no wastes mixing into the water because of the lockdown. No factory waste, no human waste. The water has become clean, right, in many rivers in many parts of the world. So from this air pollution, water pollution data, we all know that how much we have created damages to Mother Nature. Right? So that's a lesson to learn. Normally, we are not aware of it. But because of the corona pandemic, because of the lockdown scenario, because of the change in the data, change in the statistics, we are becoming aware of these facts more and more. And this living our livelihood has impacted not only the world. So these we discussed impact on the world, right? The environment, the air pollution, the carbon footprint, etc. But it has impacted us also. We have we have lost fresh air. We are living in polluted air. We have lost natural life. We are living an artificial life. We have less humanity in this life, and we have less immunity as well, because living with nature, sleeping on Mother Earth, sleeping under the sky, moving in streets, open field, playing around, running into the forest, climbing the mountain. All these activities keep us physically healthy, mentally healthy, intellectually healthy, and spiritually healthy. But we have come a long way of all that. We have made all those things into recreational activities, not as creational activities. Right? Those are our occasional, escape from the city life, not a part of our daily routine. So that way, we have impacted our life in a negative way. And this corona has taught us that probably it is time to go back. It is time to think about the damages that we have caused, not only to the world around us, but also to ourselves, to our own life, and how to regain our glorious past, at least to some extent. So, you see, if we live close to nature, right, then we are thinking about expansion. The vast field that reminds us of expansion. The open sky, that also reminds us of expansion. But once we are in a closed room like this, in which I'm sitting now, right? The desk in your office or in your university, all these, the seat in the bus or school, colleges, all this reminds us of contraction, right? So like we are closing ourselves into our own cocoons, and that has impacted us big. So apart from the livelihood or living, the next thing that I'm going to talk about is our food habit. In terms of that also, we have gone far away against Mother Nature. Now let's recall how this corona pandemic started, right? It all started in wet market, we know. And all COVID-like pandemic, like swine flu, bird flu, MERS, SARS, these are all attributed to zoonotic viruses, right? And zoonotic viruses are those that grow and they spread through wet market. Why? Because in the wet market, the animals are killed live, they're skinned alive, then their internal organs are exposed, blood comes out, the pus comes out. So the people who buy, who cook, who eat, all of them are exposed to such viruses. Few days back in social media, I was having a discussion with one of my scientist friend, on how carcinogenic chemicals like heterocyclic amines increase upon cooking the meat. Right? So the concentration of these chemicals actually increase when you hit the meat. So then he went on arguing about that. Okay, this happens in frozen meat or grilled meat, not so much so in boiling meat and stuff like that. But then there are issues like the protein profile of animals itself. They are not good for human body, right? They are oncogene activators, and also the fat itself in meat is not good. It's a bad cholesterol, right? So it's better. Some friend was arguing that it is better if we buy fresh animal than dead animal. Instead of frozen meat, if we buy, live meat. But again, it goes back to the wet market scenario. So the issue is either we are having frozen meat, grilled meat, or we are having live meat. Either way, it is bad. Either it's carcinogenic or it is, virus prone, bacteria prone. So there is no escape. The point is, for most of us, eating animal is a choice, right? So I have nothing to say against the choice. People have their own choice. But the point to think about is that it is not a compulsion. And second thing is that it is not necessary for the body. We can get all the nutrients from the plants. So it is not mandatory. That's one point to think about. And the last but not the least in terms of food is its environmental impact. Right? We all know about how much havoc this animal farming, this slaughterhouse culture has created in the society. Right? More than 50% of Amazon rainforest has been wasted due to animal farming. More than 70% of the crops that are grown in the world goes into factory farming, causing food problem, causing global warming, causing carbon footprint. Right? Even there is United Nations statistics that actually the animal industry, the meat industry, cause more harm in terms of carbon footprint and global warming than all the cars of the world combined. And that's why since 2006, United Nations have been consistently telling the whole world to reduce the meat consumption, right? To increase plant-based diet. And these are all known facts. You can search on your own. And I have also elaborated this aspect in my another webinar, another live session, role of sattvic diet in combating pandemic a few months earlier. Right? Now, in addition to the food, or along with the food, comes the intoxication also. We have seen during this Corona time that those who have a drinking habit, who have damaged their organs of their body by their intoxication habit, they are more prone to be affected by the disease, and the morbidity is also high for those people. So avoiding animal-based food, avoiding intoxication, having healthy meal, these are all uh, these are all, I would say, thumb rule to fight against the current pandemic. Right? So, and it also increases your immunity to a large extent. So Corona has taught us how to eat what is needed, not what is luxury. The third point, the first point was living. The second point was eating. Third point, under this going against Mother Nature theme, is our social habit. Right? All of us have been living in our own cocoon. We have no time to think about the others. Most of the social interactions, they are happening on Facebook. They're not happening in the physical space, right? So this is the time to think about what goes around comes around. So this is a simplified version of the science of karma, which I don't want to go into details. But you see that socially, physically, psychologically, by our living, by our livelihood, by our food habits, by our social habits. We have restricted ourselves. We have contained ourselves. We have made ourselves constricted, less immune, more prone to the disease. Right? And Corona has taught us how to unlock these habits, how to unlock our diet, how to unlock our livelihood, how to unlock our social habit from the regular chain and thinking beyond it, thinking for the global good and thinking for the individual good. So that's the first lesson in short. Going against Mother Nature causes problem. The second lesson that we learn from Corona is the difference between need and want. When need exceeds wants, normally what we need is our basic things, right? We need food for survival, we need a place to live, a place to stay, we need a roof above our head, and we need some education, we need a job, we need to run our family, we need to function in the society. That's fine. But whenever there is an imbalance between the need and the want, there is a havoc. We see that there is enough food everywhere in the world, but the problem is due to unequal distribution, right? We have seen that it's so much easy to order food on the click of a mouse, on the click of your fingers, right? So, okay, we're not liking homemade food. Okay, let's order something. Okay, my mobile camera, my friend has bought a mobile camera with higher megapixel. Okay, let's buy a new gadget. So in terms of our possessions, in terms of our daily necessities, we have gone beyond what we need, gone much, much beyond, right? Buying more clothes than needed, buying more food, eating more food than needed, having more possessions than needed. We have done that and we have created that unequal distributions. There is a supply demand old story in economics, right? If we have more demand of these things which are beyond the necessities, then the industry will promote it more. The advertisement agencies will promote it more and will buy it more. So it's a vicious cycle that goes on, right? At least during the lockdown, when everything was closed, when we had to food, when we had to eat homemade food, when we had to restrict ourselves from buying extra clothes, from buying extra electronic gadgets, that time we realized that actually our life is much more simpler, right? It's not as complicated as we have made it. We can live life without luxury. We can live life with the bare necessities, that is called. So that's a big lesson that Corona has taught us, to find our boundaries, to see clearly that what are exactly our mandatory requirements and what are our luxury. Corona has given us the vision to distinguish between the two and to choose our position accordingly. Right? The third lesson that I see from Corona is that prevention is better than cure. Okay. Now, of course, there is medical science that tries to address a problem, a disease, once it is there. But there is an inner science which involves regular physical exercise, any kinds of sports activity, outdoor activity, and of course, yoga, pranayam, etc. All these things that help to build immunity, to help inner strength. And so, by prevention is better than cure, I mean preparing your body, preparing your mind well equipped to fight against the virus, right? Of course, if not only corona, if any disease comes, medical science is there to help us, but it's always good to be prepared and to prevent the disease, right? So, uh, and I would say that even yoga pranayama are much more fundamental than other sports and physical exercises. And that we have seen during Corona also. Of course, all outdoor activities, physical exercises are very much needed to keep our body and mind fit. So there is no doubt about that. But what I'm trying to say by saying yoga and pranayama are more fundamental is that you don't need any equipment. You don't need any external gadget or any facility like a vast field or your teammates or your opponents. You don't need these requirements in order to do yoga and pranayama. You can do it at one corner. You can do it in a small space, and you can do it alone without any equipment. You don't need any gym equipment. You don't need any sports equipment. You can do it with free hand, right? So that's why I say that it's more fundamental. And during lockdown, uh, that's the only way we could do our physical exercise, right, at home. So uh, I see that often there is this tendency in modern medical science to look down upon our classical traditional methods of yoga and pranayama. Right? So, but it's not a time to fight with each other. It's complementary. It's time to hold hand with each other. So, exercise, yoga, pranayama, and sports activity, everything, all these things, uh, all these things are there to build the immunity, to set us, to equip us to fight the disease. But of course, in spite of all this, in spite of all these precautions, if we fall prey to the disease somehow, then of course we have to take help from the modern medical science. If required, we have to be admitted in the hospital. If required, we have to go through surgical procedure. All that is fine. So there is no conflict. Both have their roles. One is proactive, the other is reactive. One is preventive, the other is therapeutic. So both of them are needed, right? So that's a big lesson that Corona has taught us. And the fourth lesson that is very important, I don't know whether any one of you have thought about it, is that we all need each other in the society. Often there is this pride that I am very special. Many of us think like that. Yes, I am a special member of the society, but that is meaningless. We need people who produce food in the field. We need people who produce items in the factory. We need the house cleaners. We need the cook. We need the laborers to work in the factory, in the industry, to produce the things that we need. So when we had to do our own work, when we had to do our own cooking and cleaning and household work, and we realized that how important it is to hold each other hand, to respect each other, to respect the work of each other, no matter what work it is, no matter how menial work it is or how intellectual work it is. Like all works are equally important. We need each other in the society. So this Corona has helped us to move out of our self-centered nature to become more society-centered, right? And it's a good sign that in these trying times, many people have actually joined hands together to stand beside the needy ones, the starving ones. I know one of our friends, they were very famous music band and they got awards in MTV and all that. But now they are cooking food for the poor and distributing it, right, for to those who are unable to afford food during the Corona pandemic. So of course, many people have been doing such social activities even before the pandemic. But what I'm trying to say is that the pandemic has made us think, and it has motivated many of us who otherwise probably would have not extended ourselves to the society. So this Corona has helped us to create more awareness, to create more bonding with each other in the society, to help each other to imbibe this mood of fraternity, the mood of we are all made for each other. that kind of attitude. And that's a very good sign. That's a very good lesson. And we should maintain it even when the pandemic is gone, when the so-called normal life resumes. We should keep it in mind. We should not disrespect anyone for their menial jobs and everything. Every job is needed in the society, and every individual has their own, has his or her own contribution in the society, right? So we can summarize this fourth point, that to Mother Nature, everyone is equal. So we have talked about mainly 4 lessons, right? The first lesson was going against Mother Nature creates problem. And what we have discussed in that, we discussed how we have gone against Mother Nature. One, we discussed our livelihood away from the natural habitat, moving in the concrete jungle. Then second, we have discussed in our food habit how we have gone against Mother Nature, right? So first lesson was going against Mother Nature creates havoc in the society. The second lesson was the learning the difference between the need and the want, right? What is the fine line between the necessity and the luxury? That was the second lesson from the pandemic. The third lesson that we learned is that prevention is better than cure, right? And the importance of physical activity, the importance of exercise, the importance of proactive rather than reactive mechanism for our body and mind that we discussed. And the fourth lesson that we discussed is this concept of fraternity, concept of social equality, the concept of the need of each other in the society, the necessity of social bonding, the necessity of helping each other. So that's the fourth lesson. And to summarize all this, I can say, so one master lesson can actually summarize all these. These are all interconnected. So the master lesson would be, to Mother Nature, everyone is equal. Right? To Mother Nature, we are all subject to the same problem, to the same solution, to the same cycle, to the same suffering, to the same happiness. So to Mother Nature, everyone is equal. Right? Now, if we think deeply, we are all subject to some basic universal problem. Okay? So I want to shift your focus from the lessons, from the individual lessons that we learned, to this aspect. This is connected to that. So there are some universal problems that are there in this world. So the question is, what makes a problem universal, right? So the feature of universal problem is that it has to be common to all, right? And nobody should want it, but everybody is having it. So that's it. So why nobody should want it? Because it's a problem, right? If it was not a problem, then probably many people would have wanted it, but nobody wants it because it's a problem. It's universal, so it's common to all, and no one can avoid it. So that's the definition of, or the characteristic of, universal problem. So now let me ask, what are some universal problems of life? We have discussed many problems, but if we want to think about the universal problems that nobody wants it, it's common to all and no one can avoid it, what are they? Right. So that leads to the story of Gautama Buddha, when he came out of the palace and saw a person with leprosy, an old person, a frail old person, and when he saw a dead body. So I know you can, many of you can identify now. The first problem is disease. The second problem is old age. And the third problem is death. Whether you want it or not, you are going to have disease, either this disease or that. it hardly matters. Old age, whether you want it or not, you will get old age sooner or later, right? And death inevitable. So disease, old age, and death, these are universal problems. And interestingly, our classic Vedic philosophical texts tell us that there are four universal problems. Apart from disease, old age, and death, birth is also a problem. Now, I don't want to go too much off topic, but for simplicity, you can think as follows, that because birth is there, the other three problems are there. The disease is there, the old age is there, the death is there. So indirectly, birth is a problem, right? So the question is, why these problems are there in this world? And can we really avoid it? Or if we cannot avoid it, how best to encounter it, both physically and mentally? As it turns out that yes, the material world is designed like that. It's designed to cause us suffering. It's designed to cause us unhappiness. The problem is we always ask, why this is happening to me? What is wrong with me? What have I done? Have I done any wrong to others? Why am I suffering? Right? This question often comes to me. Why me? But we don't turn around. If we enjoy a good day, if we have a good time, if we encounter a bit of happiness, we don't question ourselves that why I am getting happiness. It's supposed to be all suffering. Why I'm getting so much fun? We don't ask ourselves. That is peculiar. You know? So because this world is designed to cause us suffering, and if we have some happiness, that should rather make us question that, oh, so I mean, which one is more fundamental, the happiness or the suffering, or maybe both? So these are some questions that come to our mind. And this connects us to Bhagavad Gita. Right? Bhagavad Gita is a fundamental psychological, come philosophical, come spiritual text, which is non-sectarian, non-religious, and which everybody in the society can benefit from. This Bhagavad Gita teaches us how to live in this world, how to be in this world, and fight these four problems of birth, old age, disease, and death. How to go beyond these problems, and if we cannot go beyond, how to survive among these problems, how to remain happy with these problems, how to train our body, how to train our mind so that we can survive and come victorious amongst all these problems, right? So that's the management of life. I have already given a live session on inspirations from Bhagavad Gita during Corona pandemic, and I have covered some of these aspects in detail. But in order to learn more, the organizers of this talk, they are going to offer you a course on Bhagavad Gita, essentials of Bhagavad Gita in 4 sessions, and you may consider registering that too. I am sure that will be announced very soon after this talk. So we see that we have learned some lessons from Corona, but these lessons are already there. These lessons are already there in our philosophical texts, in our texts like Bhagavad Gita, and similarly other wisdom texts as well. And these lessons were already there in Mother Nature. These lessons were already there in our subconscious mind. We just did not think about it. We just did not acted upon it. So now is the time. So let Corona act as a catalyst to revive our understanding of these life lessons and to bring positive changes in our life, to bring positive changes in the society, and in the whole world. Okay. So thank you very much. I will end my talk here, and I would like to take any questions that you may have. So any questions or comments? So I'd like to request the organizer to turn on the microphone of anyone who wants to raise a question so that I can hear it one by one. So maybe people can type it in the chat box if they want to ask something, and I can try to answer. Okay, okay, I have seen one. I can see one question here. What are the key lessons that we can apply from Bhagavad Gita? Oh, that's a topic on its own, and you can listen to my live session on connection between Bhagavad Gita and the corona pandemic, which I've given earlier. I can share the link to whoever is interested. And also you can stay tuned for these upcoming sessions that's going to happen, the 4 sessions I just talked about, right? But in short, even in today's talk towards the end, I already mentioned that Bhagavad Gita is a text, it's a management text, it's a life management text, and it tells us how to manage problems in life, the universal problems that we talked about, how to, so we cannot avoid problems that are unavoidable, but how to orient our life, how to orient our habits so that we can combat them. So that's in short how Bhagavad Gita helps us in fighting the pandemic. Okay. Okay. Any other question? How will Corona affect our lifestyle, and will that change be permanent after the pandemic ends? Ankit Singh has asked. The previous question was from Shivam Gupta. Okay. So, yes, the corona has definitely made some changes in our lifestyle. Now, how much the change will be retained, that depends on us, we as an individual, right? It depends on our individual taste, individual understanding, how we are going to practice in our own life. But definitely, many people are going to change because not all people are dumb. I believe many people are intelligent and sensitive. So I expect a lot of changes in the society, a lot of positive changes in the lives of the people. Okay. Any other question? Okay. Ram Prakash Gupta asks, how can you say that this corona is a result of going against Mother Nature? Oh, I think you got me wrong. I didn't say anywhere that corona is a result of going against Mother Nature. What I told is that corona may be a result of many things. Corona may be a result of many things in combination, but definitely one of them is going against Mother Nature. And I have elaborated that in my talk, how going against Mother Nature creates problem, and not only corona, how it creates problem in other aspects, right? So corona is just one thing, but going against Mother Nature has created a lot of problems in our life, in our society, in our environment, in the world, right? So that I have already made clear. Okay. Ankit Singh has asked, what is the role of karma in this pandemic? Okay. Yeah, I think that's a big topic. I think I have been thinking for a long time because during this pandemic, I have been given quite a few live sessions. So I was thinking about making another one on this karma and the connection between karma and corona. But in short, uh, what goes around comes around is a simplified version of the law of karma, right? So if you do bad to others, bad will happen to you. So, uh, so for example, maybe let's say you are a medicine manufacturer, right? And you are creating, suppose hypothetically, I'm not talking about anything personally. Suppose someone makes fake medicines, right? And so, of course, it will not work, right? Or it may have a negative impact to the person taking. Now that person may be thinking, oh, I'm making a lot of profit. Nobody is able to catch me, fine. But who knows, one fine day, his own father or mother or son or daughter gets this fake medicine somehow. And then life teaches us a lesson. So there are many ways law of karma can hit us, either directly or indirectly, either sooner or later. Sometimes the effect of karma takes longer to have its effect, right? And sometimes it is sooner. So, for example, if you bang your head in the wall, right, immediately you will get pain in your forehead. So that's an instant reaction. But let's say you have a injection, right, a steroid, let's say, in your body. Now the effect of that can be over many years. After 10 years, whenever you are having an operation, your anesthetist can ask you, okay, what was the steroid you took, what was the dose, and accordingly can adjust the anesthesia, right? So some effects are very soon, some effects take long to take into action. That we have seen in our own life. So the law of karma is like that, right? It either sooner or later, what goes around comes around. Okay. Abhijit has asked to enlighten about the sattvic food habit in our life. Okay. I would recommend you to listen to the other live session on sattvic diet. But here also, I have made some points about the wet market, about the animal meat and its impact on body and environment and mind and all that. But no meat eating, no animal. This is just one aspect of sattvic diet. Sattvic diet is much more subtle. It's so vegetarianism is not the end goal of sattvic diet. It is the beginning of sattvic diet. Okay, the sattvic diet begins with vegetarianism. It's a necessary condition, but not sufficient. And you need specific food. So in food, there are three classifications. Some are positive pranic food that gives you energy. Some are negative pranic food that gives you lethargy, and some are neutral food, right? So the science of sattvic diet says that you have to take as much positive pranic food as possible, and that includes mostly fruits and raw vegetables, right? Better than, I mean, raw vegetables are better than boiled vegetables. Boiled vegetables are better than fried vegetables. Fried vegetables are better than fried animals. So there's a hierarchy, of course. So that's in short about sattvic diet. Okay. Okay. There are some more questions. I'm trying to read it. Okay. So Shomo has asked, as a new normal, human beings are in social distancing right now. Will it be the cause to become unsocial and depend on digital gadgets like FB, WhatsApp, which we should try to avoid? That's a very good question. Okay, so remember I began my class uh, with the fact that there is positive and negative aspect of everything. Everything in life, you can take a positive lesson from it and a negative lesson from it, right? So in this talk, initially we discussed a lot of negative impacts of corona, a lot of dark sides of corona, and I have also mentioned that people are not having social interaction, they are having more Facebook interaction. Normally, even before corona, because of the city life, they are having that, and now corona has forced more into that, right? But the positive message to take from that is that that should increase our hunger for the nature. That should increase our hunger for more physical interaction, more face-to-face interaction, more hanging out together, more playing and running in the fields together, fighting with each other in the field together in a healthy way, right? So so the lack of something should create understanding of importance of that thing. If that thing is really important and that thing is really good for us, then the lack of presence of that thing should make us aware of that thing more. So this corona, though we are forced to use Facebook and social media much more, but on the hindsight, it should actually increase our appetite and increase our tendency to move back to our original form where we have less virtuality and more physicality. Okay, so that would be an answer to your question. Yes, Ankit Singh mentioned that yes, 70% of global land is used in animal farming, directly or indirectly. That's true. And that is one reason for scarcity and starvation, because this means 1 kilogram of meat is 10 or 20 kilograms of grains. Yeah, you are correct. And there are a lot of such statistics that are there from United Nations, from World Health Organizations, from you know many independent bodies, right? That how animal farming has caused not only health hazards, not only environmental hazards, but also it has contributed to the world poverty and world hunger. And there is data that if we stop completely animal farming and if we use all our available lands for producing grains for human beings, for human race, then we have actually much more than needed. We already have much more grains than needed in the whole world. In fact, we can feed twice as many as the current population of the earth if the entire human race make a switch to plant-based diet. Okay. Okay, any other question? Okay, Durgesh Yadav has asked, can you please explain how poultry farms increase global warming? Oh, Durgesh, you can just type it in Google and find out a lot of videos and authenticated statistics from you know organizations that do serious research, and you can find the data, right? So it's all related to the resources. In short, I mean, I can tell you the summary that first of all, you know making poultry farms require a lot of farmland, lot of farmland you need to sacrifice. Second, these poultry farms, these hens, they are not naturally born, right? You are artificially creating them and you are artificially maintaining them. So the whole maintenance of this farm requires a lot of energy, lot of water than naturally grown animals, right? So if you take all these into account, the amount of energy in many forms, in electrical forms and in other forms, that goes into maintenance of these farms, and the agricultural land that it destroys, in fact the waste product of the fish farms, the poultry farms and other animal farms, the bio waste, their excretion, the bio excretion that they have, that have a negative impact on the soil pollution, on the air pollution as well, and there are a lot of serious studies on that, and that causes global warming. Okay. Okay. Jishnudeep Mondol is asking, how can I convince my parents to eat veg who are habituated to eat fish every day? So, yeah, it's not about convincing someone. I mean, of course, the people's eating habit, you have to understand that people's eating habit sometimes is not their own choice, right? Many of us have been forced into a habit by our own parents, by our own culture, by our own society, and even by the environment that we live in, right? The area, what kind of foods are available in that area, right? So uh, often people cannot be directly blamed for the choices that they have made or that they have learned from their childhood, right? That's fine. But once they are grown, once independent thinking have developed, once people have choice, once people have options, then of course it is time to think critically, what is the better option, not only for myself but also for the society, for the world in general? What is a jointly better option? So it's a joint uh, good. So it's a good for both. What is that option? So that requires a critical thinking. And so you can have an open discussion with your parents, and you can tell positives and negatives of different kinds of diet. You can present the facts to themselves, and you can ask them to experiment, to experience on their own. And once they think about it, they practice it, and then they will be convinced in their own. I mean, just by argument and discussion, you cannot really convince anyone, and you should not, rather. I mean, unless people have direct experience, direct realization, it's hard to bring changes in the society. Okay. Mm. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, sir, for such an enlightening session. It was a really amazing session. And I would just like to share some take-home points which sir mentioned. So, sir mentioned, first of all, about the origin of all terrible diseases from wet livestock, right? And he also mentioned very nicely about the need of balance between our needs and wants, and how to get that vision to choose between that, what is our need and what is extravagance. And he also mentioned that actually prevention is better than cure. So therefore we have to prepare our mind with yoga and pranayam. And obviously we need each other's help. We need grain producers, and we should have the respect of each other. And also the final point which he mentioned was that we need to become more society centric than the personal centric. So then we can actually create a happy society. So these were all some of the wonderful points which sir mentioned. It was truly an amazing session. So we'd like to thank sir from the core of our hearts for for giving his time and such valuable lessons from all of this. Thank you, sir. Uh, yes, sir. And we also thank all of you for your valuable time. So now I will just paste a link of the feedback form which all of you can fill. And just a second, I will just copy and I will share in the chat box. So yeah, so there you go. We have sent you the link for the feedback form in the chat. And also I will just share with you. See, I think most of you are there in our Telegram group. We have a Telegram group. So we are opening the group for an hour. and you can share your feedback, like what points you liked about the session. We are very eager to know about the points which you like, and how can we serve you better in future sessions. And also, so I'm posting the link of the Telegram group. I posted in the chat box, so you can go ahead with this one as well. And now we have a very important and special thing for all of you. We are going to show you a short video of our PCAST session. So just stay with us. Okay, so I will just share my screen. Just a minute. Yeah. I hope all of you are able to see my screen. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's visible. I will share the computer sound. That's it. Yeah. So yeah, here we go. Are you confused about life's goals? Do you want to declutter the mental distractions? Do you want to become a leader? Then this course is for you. Hello friends, this is Indranil on behalf of the team of India Youth Care. We Indians are the most charismatic, talented and resourceful brains celebrated throughout the entire world. Top tech companies such as Google and Microsoft are boastful to keep Indian talents as their top personal men. But what is the situation with most of us? Most of us, we suffer from cutthroat competition and rising social, mental and peer pressure. And when this pressure is not properly channelized, it leads us to go for disastrous addictions and destructions and depression. Over 9.8 million youths suffer from depression. It's a very high number. Also, this depression results in low confidence, low self-esteem, and finally, opportunity blindness. We at India Youth Care are here to provide you with a power booster course based on the most authentic science of the Bhagavad Gita. As Mahatma Gandhi has famous, when doubts haunt me, when disappointments stare me in the face, and I see not one ray of hope on the horizon, I turn to Bhagavad Gita and find the words to comfort me. And I immediately begin to smile in the midst of overwhelming sorrow. This 4-session course called as PCAST, that is the primary course on applied spiritual technology, will help you to resolve mental complications, give you one-pointed focus in your life's goals. It will give you spiritual empowerment, which will open up new dimensions of opportunities in your life. And finally, it will make you a refined man, a pioneer in society, ready to inspire millions. So hurry up, join us on this sublime journey to replenish your life with joy and clarity. Please visit our website www.indiayouthcare.com for registration and further details. Thank you. Yeah, so here as you can see, this was about the PCAST session. It's a very wonderful session, and you can see it's a prize-winning session. We have all of this here, and I will just quickly also show you our website. Just a minute. So yeah, I will just share my screen and I will just show you the website as well. Yeah. Okay. I think just a minute. Where did it go? Yeah. Just a second. Yeah. Okay, I think stop share. Yeah. So here, as you can see, all of you, I hope you are able to see see the website. So this is our website, that is indayouthcare.com, and here we have the PRAGHOSH festival. So next session next Sunday is by Dr. Lakshminder Behra sir. He is a professor at IIT Kanpur on AI-based autonomous robotics, and he will be our next speaker for the next session, that is next Sunday. And also, if you go, as I mentioned about PCAST, so all of you please visit our website, that is www.indiayouthcare.com, and you can register for this course here. This is a PCAST session. If you go, you can read more about this, and you can go. Here are the details for how you can register. So this is our future plan. Like after these sessions, we are going to start with the PCAST one. Yeah. So finally, we would like to thank sir once again, and all of you for your enthusiastic and active participation. Thank you so much for being with us, for being so patient with us. and we are very eager to meet you next Sunday. And don't forget to give your feedback in the Telegram group as well as fill the feedback form. Thank you.